Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. The House That Never Sleeps by GrimmInDarkness. Hello and welcome to another episode of Shadows and Secrets. I'm your host, Lenora Black. A female voice speaks into a desk microphone. Today, we're looking into the mysterious disappearances and murders of the Ashcroft estate. Eerie music plays in the background as she continues. The Ashcroft estate sits high in the ominous mountains of Dursted Rise, where the first murder was found in 1836. A body of an unidentified 28-year-old female was found at the bottom of the grand staircase. The design modeled after the grand staircase of the Bricking Hall. Could this have cursed it in some way? Lenora leaned on her desk, elbows propping up as she closed in on the microphone. The bodies of each victim were always found in unusual places of the estate and in odd positions, almost as if they were posing for a painting for Jacques-Louis David, the artist behind The Death of Merritt. She leans back, looking up at the ceiling. Which comes to my special announcement, she smiled. I will be moving into the Ashcroft estate. I'm hoping to solve these murders and disappearances. I hope you will wish me good luck as I continue to update you during the process. This has been Lenore Black, your host of Shadows and Secrets, signing off. She took off her headphones and placed them down. Lenore stopped the recording and had to admit she was most definitely nervous. Who wouldn't be? After all, she was going to be living in a place where people had died or disappeared. Lenore looked at her packed-up boxes, knitting her brows in tired frustration, exhaling a sigh. It was time to call the movers. By the time Lenore was on the road, she was sure the move hive was already halfway there. Trying to obey traffic laws to get to the estate, Lenore didn't want to be pulled over. If that occurred, it put her further behind schedule. Passing the signs to the Dursted Rise Mountains, she gripped the steering wheel, knowing there was no turning back now. From here, it was a straight shot to the Ashcroft estate. Lenore was expecting a winding road that twisted around to the top. Instead, it was up various hills, one after the other, then through an open gate. When the Ashcroft estate came into view, she let out an audible gasp. The estate was breathtaking with its brick, stone veneer siding, and prairie windows. She knew that such a beautiful place was full of so much pain and grief. Parking behind the moving van, Lenore got out. Walking up to the window, she peered in and saw no one. Where did they go? Lenore had the only key to get inside. Did they by chance leave it here in a hurry? Clicking her tongue, Lenore sighed, digging the key out of her purse. She walked towards the front door, keys in hand, and unlocked it. Pushing it open, Lenore stepped inside, feeling around. She found a light switch, flipping it on. Above her, lights flickered to life, even if they were dim. Shutting the white oak door, her heels clicked on the marble flooring as she crossed the room towards the foyer. The air felt heavy and smelled of mothballs and mildew. As she stood there, Lenore closed her eyes, taking in the atmosphere. Something about this place was off. If there was too many presences together in one place, all of them trying to find an exit, but were being kept here. Whatever it was keeping them here had to be the one behind it. At least that was one of her theories. That instead of a killer, that it was a malevolent force which murdered them. Leaving the foyer, Lenore searched for a room to stay in. She'd wait till morning and bring her belongings inside. Finding a room with an ensuite, Lenore settled in, going to sleep. During the night, she dreamed of walking through one of the many halls. It felt oddly bigger than it had when she walked inside. Or had she gotten smaller? Regardless, she kept moving forward. Looking at her hand, Lenore lifted a lantern which lit the way. She took soft, careful steps, not wanting to make a sound, fearing if Lenore did, it would waken or alert someone. Her shuddering breath showed how cold it was. Wooden floorboards creaked under her bare feet, walking on a faded floral rug runner leading down a hallway to her right. At the end where she was walking stood someone. When raising her lantern, the light shone on them. It didn't feel right. Lenore willed herself to turn back, but her legs kept moving forward. Getting closer and closer, the face became more visible to her. Before seeing it clearly, she woke up in a cold sweat, rubbing her shaky hands over her face. What she did get to see about that person was dark circles, pale, lifeless iris, and sunken cheeks. The scent of death was heavy in the air. Their heavy stare on her weighed her down. That was when she woke up. If she hadn't, would they have meant death for her? Getting out of bed, Lenore walked into the ensuite to splash water on her face. Drying her face with a towel, she looked up into the mirror, stalling backwards in surprise. Instead of her own reflection staring back at her, it was a little girl, the one who she believed to be seen through the eyes of. They stared at each other for a while, then the little girl wrote on the other side of the fogged-up glass. Lenore cautiously stepped closer, reading the message. "He will be after you soon. Let me help." Who exactly was the he she was talking about? Did she mean the cloaked figure? Lenore gulped, licking her dry lips. She knew that this would be difficult to do on her own. Lenore nodded, accepting the help which had been offered to her. The ghost of the girl then wrote another message, telling Lenore to find the study. There should be some unusual information on the person she saw. She wasn't sure how this would help, but Lenore agreed to look. The study was covered in cobwebs with thick layers of dust on the books, shelves, and desk. Walking over to the wooden desk, Lenore began looking through some documents. Glancing over them, there wasn't much to go off of until she found one incident report. On April 13th, 1840, the body of the Ashcroft Estates gardener was found face down in the fountain. This was around early morning during winter, so the water was practically frozen. He was found wearing a dark cloak with the hood up. Death was caused by blunt force trauma to the back of the head. When they removed his body, it was still warm. He hadn't been dead long as the blood also clotted, nor did it have time to drip into the water. Lenore wondered if the body had been moved there. Where had the Ashcroft's gardener been killed before being placed inside the fountain? It was like playing a game of Clue. Since there was no murder weapon found, it would be hard to figure out who did it. Why the gardener? Under the coroner's report was a file dated December 5th, 1836. Opening up, Lenore read the report. In the dead of night, a housekeeper reported screaming and sounds of struggling from an upstairs bedroom. Around midnight, the same housekeeper found the dead body of a 28-year-old woman at the bottom of the stairs. Rope burn marks were found around her neck. The person was identified as the daughter of an Ashcroft employee. Lenore lowered the file in her hands. Could she have been related to the gardener? The door to the study creaked, causing her to look up. Nothing was there, but she felt as if someone was watching her. The presence stood there for a while before slamming the door shut, causing Lenore to jump. What was that? Not that she could normally see all spirits in the first place. This one didn't want to be seen. Part of Lenore wanted to go after while her common sense screamed no. Laying the file down next to the other report, she compared them. If he indeed was her father, he must have found out who had murdered her. In turn, that person must have silenced him. Lenore looked through the rest of the desk. She was looking for something, anything to give her a hint. Maybe information about the owner of the estate or another death that was recorded. When Lenore came across the locked drawer, she grabbed the letter opener and popped it open. Inside was a bloody paperweight and a rope. These are without a doubt the murder weapons. If she had to guess, the very first owner of Ashcroft must have been the one to kill the young woman and her father, the gardener. Then the spirits must have got back at him by taking his daughter's life, along with the rest of his family. Anyone else who owned this house or came to investigate became cursed. Thus ended their lives one after another. How could Lenore stop the gardener and his daughter from killing more people? She couldn't exactly bring the old Ashcroft owner to justice since they probably already got him. Unless the men escaped before they could. If that was the case, then she would have to gather all the evidence so she could start a posthumous trial. All she had to do was gather the murder weapons and the coroner's reports. Taking off her robe, she picked up the items in the drawer and tied it up. With a bundle in one arm, Lenore picked up the 2 files on the desk. She made her way to the study door and opened it. Looking down each end of the hallway, Lenore swiftly walked down the right side, making her way to the bedroom. She needed to call someone, but who? Lenore was not particularly close to anyone. Maybe the realtor? Digging through her purse, she found a business card for a man who sold her the house. Picking up her phone from the nightstand, she dialed the number and waited as it rang. The sound of a groggiest sigh emitted from the other end. "Miss Black, do you have any idea what time it is?" "I apologize, Mr. White, but I don't know who else to turn to." "Then what is the issue?" "I believe I figured out who the murderer of the Ashcroft estate is." There was a brief silence between the two. "Mr. White?" "Stay right where you are, Miss Black, and I will be right there." The call ended and Lenore stared at her phone screen. An echoing sound of someone knocking on glass made her turn to look at the vanity. The little girl motioned to her before writing a message on the glass. "Don't trust him." She made her way over to the vanity. "Why shouldn't I trust him?" Lenore questioned. The little girl frowned and answered, "That man isn't who he appears to be." Could it be that this man was the late Ashcroft himself? Anxiety filled her mind as it raced with thoughts about what to do next. Lenore needed to get out to somewhere safe, a place that the man didn't know about. Looking at the little girl in the mirror, she asked, "Do you have a favorite hiding place?" The little girl's face brightened, nodding. "Let me show you the way." The hiding place that the little girl had taken Lenore to is an entrance to a crawl space. Taking a shaky breath, she slipped inside, making her way through. It began as a narrow space and opened. Using her phone's flashlight, she could see cobwebs and wires. A few items littered the floor that looked like they belonged to a child. This must have been where the little girl used to come to play by herself. Walking through a bit more, Lenore could hear the front door open. Was the Mr. White here already? He should have been further away, at least an hour. "Miss Black, I'm here. Where are you?" he asked, walking into the foyer, something hidden behind his back. She peeked through the cracks in the walls and lowered her phone light. Was he here to kill her? Now Lenore knew he was the one who had killed the gardener and his daughter. He was going to silence her for good. She had to keep moving because the longer Lenore waited around, the closer he would get to finding her. As she rounded the corner, Lenore stopped dead in her tracks at what she saw before her. There, slumped in the corner of the room, a piece of its skull cracked, was a skeleton in a yellow dress. Blonde hair was still attached to the scalp. Lenore covered a hand over her mouth in shock. Had Mr. White hunted his own daughter for being a witness to the murders he committed? Like TV static, the little girl appeared next to her own skeleton and looked up at Lenore sullenly. "I'm so sorry this happened to you," she told the little girl, who motioned down another path of the crawl space. "If you keep going that way, you'll see an exit that leads outside a hole in the side of the house, with a rose bush blocking it." Lenore nodded. "Thank you," she whispered, and with her items in tow, she went the way that was shown to her. After walking for a bit, she was met with a rose bush and a hole in the side of the house. Crawling on all fours, she went through. Noticing the door was left wide open, Lenore took the opportunity to shut it. Using something nearby, she blocked the door from being opened. Running up to her car, she noticed that the tires were slashed, along with the moving truck. Going over to Mr. White's car, she tried the handle, opening it up, and searching for the keys. Banging on the front door made her jump as she saw the keys in the tiny tray in the front gear shift. Pressing the button, Lenore started the car and backing up. Mr. White cursed as he lifted the engineer's hammer in his hands and began smashing through the door. A wet hand placed itself onto his shoulder and then another. Mr. White slowly turned and looked at the decayed face of his gardener, who screamed into his face before throwing him. As he hit the stairs, Mr. White looked up to where the gardener's daughter stood, her neck and limbs twisted in unnatural angles, letting out a pained wail. Eyes widening, the man crawled away on all fours until he was right in front of his own daughter. "Eris, sweetheart." Mr. White smiled until he saw her pick up the hammer that he dropped from his hands when the gardener threw him. Eris raised it high above her head before letting it slam down into his head. A sickening, wet crunch echoed in the air, followed by a thick, screeching spelt sound, red chunks flying against the floor and nearby wall. Lenore gripped the steering wheel tightly as she focused on the road. She would stop in the hotel to rest for the night and call the police in the morning. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shadows and Secrets. I'm your host, Lenore Black. Today, I want to talk to you about my experiences while living in the Ashcroft estate and the mysterious realtor, Mr. White. For the first time, I will take live callers. Caller number 1, you're on the air. There was a silent pause, so she laughed it off. No need to be shy. Who are you and where are you from? There was a crackling on the other end. Hello, Miss Black. Lenore froze. It couldn't be. He was dead. She was sure of it. Who is this? You know exactly who I am, Miss Black. I do hope you will visit soon. When a noise during an investigation led me to panic fire into a suspect's closet, I was horrified after opening it to find the prone form of a small boy. "Don't worry," my partner assured me with a smirk, before placing a realistic-looking water pistol in the child's grip. "You had no way of knowing it was just a toy." Rules for Night Shift in Greenhouse 14B by Asdras13. Report recovered from confidential archives of Dr. Silvio Blanchette Industries. Anomalous species selection. I've always heard rumors about Greenhouse 14B. They say after 1996's fire, the place has been definitively closed. However, last week I received a strange summons without letterhead, requesting technical presence at the place between the 3rd and the 9th of April. When I arrived, there was no one in the greenhouse, just a clipboard with my name in a brown envelope. Inside, I found instructions that I copied below. I didn't sign nothing. I had no choice. If you're reading this, you'll probably be next. Excerpt from Field Diary of Coach LGP, who disappeared on April 12th. If you have received this instruction sheet, it's because you've been assigned to the night shift in Greenhouse 14B. Strictly follow the rules below. Don't try to improvise. Don't try to understand. Just comply. 1. Entry time. Enter the sector between 6:40 p.m. and 6:55 p.m. Never arrive at 7 p.m. sharp. This marks the beginning of underground activity. If you arrive at this time, don't go in, don't knock, leave, and accept what you see. 2. Species identification. Ignore any plants that are not cataloged. They are not there by mistake, but they do not belong to you. Don't photograph, don't write down, and above all, don't name any of them. 3. Automatic watering can. The system will activate at 10:13 p.m. You must be outside the greenhouse this very minute. Water is not just water, and what it feeds on is not just flora. 4. Whispers between the sheets. If you hear sounds similar to whispers, do not approach the plants of tropical origin. Cover your ears and take a deep breath. Resist the temptation to respond, as they learn from your words. 5. The white flower. If you find a white flower opening out of season, it is calling you. Ignore. She doesn't feel it. She just repeats. If it is facing you, keep your eyes down and return to the center aisle without rushing. 6. The shadow in the glasses. If an humanoid figure appears outside the greenhouse, do not call it back. Whoever it was, she is no longer alive and she must not recognize you. If you recognize it, pretend you do not recognize it. 7. Alarm at 3:33 a.m. This alarm is not part of the system. When it rings, turn off your flashlight and hide under the mental table in section C. Remain still until the song stops. No matter what you hear, do not leave before absolute silence. 8. Exit only. Leave when the clock says 4 a.m. sharp. Not before, not after. If the gate is ajar before then, you should not go through it. Wait. It will close on its own. Trust it. If you're unable to follow one of these rules above, use the emergency radio in the northeast corridor of the greenhouse and clearly pronounce, "I require extra filtration via Protocol Z41. The team will know what to do. If no one responds within 13 seconds, turn off the radio, write your name in the black notebook, and don't touch anything else. You are not here to save the plants. You are here to stop something in them from escaping. Good luck, and don't breathe too deeply. As for you, if you survive the next 24 hours shrunk, you'll win the prize. I let out a sigh of relief, thinking this will just be a minor inconvenience, until I turned to meet the stare of my now wide-eyed cat. And with that, our time together is coming to an end. If you have a story you'd like me to narrate, whether true or fictional, you can send it my way 3 different ways. Either through my subreddit, my website, or email. All the links are down below for you. And of course, I like to thank the writers who let me read these stories this evening. We started with a house with its dark secrets that never seemed to sleep. The dead kept wandering the halls, waiting for the one who caused everything to come back. And of course, when they did, many, many years later, still alive, they took their vengeance. But it seems that's not the only dark secret in that house. Then we moved on to rules to survive a night shift at a greenhouse. The plants there are different and will take advantage of you or make sure that you never leave. So make sure to follow those rules so you don't get stuck or worse. Thank you as always for letting me narrate your stories. I really enjoyed narrating them. I really enjoyed a house that has more secrets that we don't even seem to fully peel back. A part 2 does feel almost in order. And I truly do love the rule horror. You can add so much subtle horror as you add the rules, make you wonder why you need to follow them to survive. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And of course, leave me a comment. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what kind of stories you like in the future, anything like that. If you're listening on the podcast and are able to, leave me a review and of course a comment. If you'd like to help this channel and podcast grow, please share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It helps quite a lot, guys. If you'd like to help in a more financial way, like these lovely people on screen right now, I do have Patreon and memberships, where for $1 a month you get early access and a few other bonuses. If you'd like to do more of a one-time thing, I do have PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and Super Thanks on YouTube. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. It always has and always will mean the world to me. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.